Welcome back to Overtime with the Cowboys. And no, that's not Mac Engel. That's Steven Johnson filling in for Mac Ingles. Again, this is Overtime with the Cowboys. Cowboys Overtime, sponsored by our friends at Window Nation. I am Clarence E. Hill Jr., the longest tenured beat writer covering the Cowboys and one of the longest reporters working at the Star Telegram. I'm certainly the longest sports reporter at the Star Telegram. We have our newest sports reporter, and Steven Johnson. One of my claims to fame or shame is that I've been covering the Cowboys since 1997, and they have 3 playoff wins. Three playoff wins. Steven shows up his first year covering TCU, and what the hell? They're undefeated.
Well, man, I just brought some good luck with me. So far, I haven't been doing this as long as you, but knock on wood, I haven't covered a bad team yet. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed on that.
Well, the Cowboys believe this year is their year. They believe that they have the opportunity to break that Clarence Hill bad omen or whatever you want to call it, that Clarence Hill curse, that Clarence Hill coverage curse this year. And after that game against the Vikings, when the Cowboys probably had the most impressive performance of any team this season, especially against a good opponent, a contending opponent, it was a complete blowout victory on and off the field. On the field, everything, on the line, everything. 40-3, the most impressive and biggest blowout win on the road in franchise history. Jerry Jones said the Cowboys are a Super Bowl team, Super Bowl contending team. That's what they look like against the Vikings. Do you agree?
In the wide open NFC, I mean, the way I look at it, I think you got to kind of go into it and say, why not the Cowboys? They obviously have the defense, the pass rush. You got Zeke and Tony Pollard back there. Probably best 1-2 punch in the league when they're both healthy. I mean, is that fair to say?
I mean, goodness gracious, the running game, man, you have to, we saw the 49ers last night, that running game. They got a very rushing attack with all those running backs. But, again, speaks to why it's important to have more than one back. And everybody in Dallas goes crazy about, well, Tony should get all the carries and Zeke shouldn't be doing this, and run them both. You're going to need them both. That's what's most important. And that's what, the Cowboys are doing. But you add what the Cowboys are doing on offense and this offense. And then, I remember, let's go back to the questions that they had when Cooper Rush. Leave Cooper Rush as the starter. This offense was averaging 21 points a game with Cooper Rush as the starting quarterback. Since Dak Prescott has returned, averaging 35.5 points a game. That is why getting Dak back in there is important, but still focusing on the run, still focusing on Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard and allowing them to do what they do. Again, allowing them to run the ball, but also take your shots down the field. Those are some of the things you want to do. And that's certainly what they did. That offense, the way they played against the Vikings, scoring on 7 straight drives to open the game. And again, this is the team that's still looking to improve on offense. They still trying to go get Odell Beckham, to add what they have at receiver, to go with Tony Pollard. And Tony Pollard, and you brought him up, you're from Memphis, right? It's your boy. He's a Memphis native. Here's a guy, and you can speak to him. Here's a guy who I don't think he carried the load in high school. I don't think he carried the full load in high school. I know at Memphis, he averaged like 3 carries a game his freshman and sophomore year and 5 carries a game his senior year. He's never carried the full load. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because Tony at first, he went to high school about maybe 5 minutes away from my house. He went to Germantown High for a couple years. Then he went to kind of one of the legendary high schools in Memphis, Melrose and Orange Mound, one of the first Black communities in the South, and kind of started there. So kind of like you said, he's just been like a gadget utility guy everywhere he's been, receiver, returner, running back. And so now he's finally in the league now and kind of starting to get used as not necessarily a lead back, but I think this is the most touches he's seen in like a consistent basis on whether it be a running back or a receiver. So it's been encouraging to see him do it on this type of stage, man. The city of Memphis, shout out to Coach Anthony Jones at TCU, the running back coach that was one of his coaches, kind of helped develop him as well too. So this is kind of what he kind of showed the city and why he ended up making it to the league, man. So now he's kind of exceeded all the expectations that everybody had back home for him.
Yeah, Memphis has had an embarrassment of riches at running back for a small school. And look at all the running backs that played at Memphis in the NFL with the Rams and other teams. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, I wish Texas could bottle up a few of those and get some of those guys out there. And certainly TCU has some good running backs. But for a school like Memphis, who's not necessarily known for that, they put out a lot of running backs in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a couple. I don't know if the stat is still accurate, but I know in 2020 they put out, I think, the third most running backs in like a 5-year period. It was like Alabama, Ohio State, then Memphis. So Darrell Henderson, Tony Pollard, Kenneth Gainwell now with the Eagles, Patrick Taylor still kind of hanging around with the Green Bay Packers, and I'm forgetting somebody else. So they have 4 or 5 running backs in the league right now, man. They got a couple more good ones right now. I don't know if they're as good as like TP and Darrell Henderson, but that's kind of, they call themselves whipping you back home. And it's because of guys like Tony Pollard and how they were utilized. Antonio Gibson is the other guy I was thinking about.
Antonio Gibson for sure.
Just like Tony Pollard. Yeah, man, my bad. He was finna transfer. He was another guy, receiver, returner, didn't get many carries and gets to the league, and now he's a productive back, I would say, like that. So, yeah, man, Memphis has they had a nice little run where they were putting out, it seems like, NFL running backs every year, every other year at the minimum.
Well, speaking of the running game, the Cowboys defense certainly stopped the run against the Vikings after giving up 240 yards against the Bears and 207 against the Packers. And that was really the worry part against the Vikings was, where Vikings and Dalvin Cook going to run on the Vikings rushed for 73 yards. But just because you stopped it one time don't mean you're going to stop it every week. And certainly the Vikings are going to – I'm not the Vikings, but the Cowboys have to do it every week. The Giants are going to test Micah Parsons in this run defense. Every team is going to test Micah Parsons in this run defense every week because they don't want to face the pass rush. And so, again, this week against the Giants, you got Saquon Barkley coming to town. The Cowboys have to continue to stop the run if they want to be successful and allow them to eat on the pass rush. Can they continue to do that? Did you like what you saw with their run defense against the Vikings? And talk about the challenge of facing Saquon Barkley.
Well, I was definitely impressed. I thought Dalvin was going to have a big game just because, I mean, when you got that pass rush, Micah and some of those other guys on the defensive line, honestly, your best option is to go right at them instead of dropping back. Like when Kirk Cousins, what was that, the first drive of the game?
Yes.
Like it was telegraphed. I think everybody in the stadium knew when Micah was chasing him down, he was about to fumble. But overall, man, I think it was just probably one of the strongest efforts all year. And as you said, one of the best, most complete performances you've seen, I think, since you've been here. So I think that says it all. But going against the Giants, I think the added factor of Daniel Jones' legs and how they've been kind of using that a little bit more, just letting him be an athlete, even though he doesn't look like the most athletic guy. At least straight line speed, that guy can run. So if I'm the Giants, man, it's going to be a steady dose of him and Saquon Barkley because right now I know that I think they just lost a receiver to injury, Wan'Dale Robinson. So they're going to be a little shorthanded on the perimeter. So I would lean on Saquon, man. I think it's going to be a big challenge. But I think overall, if you're Dallas, I don't know how much the Giants passing game scares you. So, if I stuff the box a little bit or stack the box a little bit more and kind of slow Saquon down, I think Daniel Jones is the type of quarterback he's better this year in terms of ball security. But I think he's shown in the past, if you can take away that run game and make him have to beat you, he's going to put the ball in the air, put the ball on the ground a couple times.
No, there's no question about that. I think the one thing the Vikings, they weren't stubborn with the run, and certainly they got behind, but like on the third drive of the game, it's third and short, run the ball. I mean, make the Cowboys stop the run. I'm not giving Micah Parsons a chance to chase Daniel Jones down, Kirk Cousins down, and I think that the Giants will be stubborn. They will be stubborn. They're going to force to run, especially because of the injuries at receiver. And then because their best weapon is Saquon Barkley. They're going to put him in the Wildcat. They're going to do a number of different things to force to run. The thing the Cowboys need to do is get on them early and get a big lead and get them out of the run. But if it's a close game, they're going to continue to stuff to run and force to run as they should because you don't want to have to face Micah Parsons in that pass rush because, when they pin their ears back, they're going to bludgeon the quarterback. They beat Kirk Cousins to submission. He quit. He cried uncle. He basically left the field. He quit looking down the field. He was looking at the pass rush. They made him see ghosts every time he went back to pass, and you saw that. And certainly Daniel Jones, his ability to scramble, not just on running plays, but get away from sacks. He did that a little bit against the Cowboys in the first game. So they have to be smart and rushing their lanes, and Daniel Jones will do the same thing. He will crumble just like Kirk Cousins did. Now we're going to go for a little word from our sponsors, Window Nation. A word from them.
Window Nation, the star of window replacement and proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys, can help you fill the house this season with savings. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and make no payments and pay no interest until 2025. Fill your house for a customized authentic Dallas Cowboys jersey while supplies last. You could even help fill the Cowboys house and win tickets to a game. Visit windownation.com/Cowboys now for details. Call 866-95-NATION. Window Nation, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
You know, one of the most impressive things about what the Cowboys did against the Vikings, it came after that bitter and disappointing loss to the Packers. And they were angry, they were upset, they were motivated to make up for that loss and show who they are. Now the key is, you know, can they be consistent? You know, can they do it again? You know, that's one thing that they have to try to do. And you know, to people talk, well, they got to do it every week. You know, that's what frustrates fans. You know, you look like you looked against the Packers, then you look like you look against the Vikings. Can you do it every week? Keep that success going against the Giants on Thursday, on Thanksgiving Day, 4 days later.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's winning time now. You know, Thanksgiving, that's when you kind of lock in, you kind of focus on that playoff push. If you're the Cowboys, a potential Super Bowl push. And the Giants, they're coming off a bad loss as well, too. So now they're kind of in the same position as Dallas was in last week. So they should be fired up. So now if you're Dallas, are you feeling yourselves after you just beat a team that had, I think they had one of the best records in the NFL before that blowout? You're coming off that big win, going up a team that should be hungry. They're still trying to stay in that divisional race, man. So I think it's going to be a good test to see where Dallas is at mentally. Because if you're a contender, from that mental aspect, man, this is a game you should come in and win. You're at home, another big primetime game. You have an advantage. The Giants have a couple injuries in the secondary. You're the better team. So I'm not saying they should come out and beat the Giants 40-3, but this should be another game where they should be able to control the game and come out with a victory. But they have to come in with the right mindset, because if you're the Giants, you're going to come in hungry. You're trying to stay in that race. So now what does Dallas do, and where are they at mentally?
I'm going to say they should beat them 40-3.
This ain't college, though.
It ain't college.
It ain't college.
Now, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but they should beat them by double digits. They beat them bad the first game with Cooper Rush, your quarterback. They beat them by double digits with Cooper Rush. Now you're at home. They're injured. You feeling good. You're playing your best football. You on a roll. Hang your foot in them. Keep, all gas, no brakes, as my boy Sark would say. They need to keep it down.
Boy Sark.
My boy Sark would say, all gas, no brakes. But the way Dak Prescott is playing, just talk about your impressions of Dak and how he played against the Vikings. You know, he was 23 or 25. He's really one of those pass, or 22 or 25. One was a throwaway, one was a drop. I mean, he had it going. He was making some throws there. Aaron Rodgers, like he told me, now that's Dak like. He showed you a little feisty, man. Don't take my shine and make me about Aaron Rodgers. This is what I do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought he played a great game. That throw to TP for that long touchdown I think that was about the time I kind of turned the game off. I'm sorry. I went ahead and took a nap after that point. Wow. But the game was determined at that point. They took it out the broadcast a couple plays later. They were showing the Bengals and Steelers.
You don't even remember Heidi.
But no, I thought it was one of the better games I've seen Dak play. Easily his best game since he's come back from the injury. So I think maybe if you're Cowboys fans, you got to feel confident. Obviously, it's good to see him bounce back for what he threw 2 picks last week against the Packers. To have a game like that, in that environment on that stage against the Vikings, who are viewed as one of the contenders in the NFL, it was nothing but encouraging. But like you said, consistency now. Can Dak take what he did last week and bring it on Thursday against the Giants, who are probably going to be a little bit more focused on taking away Zeke, taking away TP, and making him beat them? Because I don't view him as necessarily a question mark, but the question I do have about the Cowboys is, if they get to the playoffs or get to some of these games in December and the running game isn't as effective, can he carry the load with the current group of receivers? And I guess my next question, going back to you, is, are they going to sign Odell or not? It seems like they've been courting him for about 3 weeks now. Are they going to do it or not?
Man, I've never seen it. You're a young guy, so I've never seen a team thirst for a receiver like the Cowboys thirsting for a woman. It's just from the ownership to the coaching staff to the players, they're openly courting. We said back in the old days, they're courting them. They're courting them. They they're trying to holler. They're thirsting for him on social media. That's all they talk about. Certainly, Jerry Jones, told me, after the game Sunday that they're going to visit with him after the Thanksgiving Day game. So, it's time to move in that direction. They're going to visit with him and they're going to talk. They have to check his medicals out. That's one of the issues is he's coming off ACL injury. They have to check his medicals out and see how healthy he is. And actually, they're competing against the Giants for services. The two teams that are favored, Odell Beckham on the Cowboys and the Giants. So this could be the Odell Beckham Bowl on Thursday. The Giants definitely need him. They've already had two receivers lost to ACL injuries. They need help at receiver, if they want to make a Super Bowl run. Certainly the Cowboys, need help at receiver to put them over the top. But if I'm Odell Beckham, the Giants lost two receivers at home on that turf to ACL injuries. I'm coming off ACL injury. Why would I want to go there and play on that turf?
Man, regardless of the turf, why would I want to play with Daniel Jones where I could come
down? All of that too, but just coming off ACL injury, why would I want to play on that turf? So all that's in the balance. We'll know more about Odell Beckham and the Cowboys after this weekend's game, but the Cowboys are not backing up. Jerry Jones talked on the radio today about wanting Odell and needing and still trying to add a piece to this team so they can put them over the top. But the thing about the Cowboys, their motto this year is about being resilient and taking punches and overcoming things. There's no team in college football and really no team I've seen in football this year that's been more resilient than TCU. You look at what TCU's done. They have not always played their best every week. They certainly have not always played their best every game. But at the end of the game, they are the best team on the field. No one is resilient. No one shows up every week and shows out and comes through when it matters most like TCU. How are they doing it? And the Cowboys need to try to copy some of that. But what is TCU doing that makes them special? And certainly starts with the quarterback.
Yeah, and I think it really comes from the mentality, the attitude of Sonny Dice. As you know, like teams, they take on the attitude or the emotions of their leader. And I think Sonny Dice is just a cool customer. At least when he's talking to us, he doesn't really strike us as a big rah-rah guy. And he really keeps those guys even keeled and kind of centered and focused on the mission at hand. And for them, their motto is just focus on the next play. If you keep doing that, if you keep doing your job play by play, then things are going to work out in the end. And obviously that's worked out for them, whether they're coming back from a big deficit, hitting a crazy field goal at the end of the game against Baylor, or blowing out Oklahoma, or getting physical with your boy Sark. They've shown that they can win a game in any type of way. And I think that's been one of the most impressive things about them. They can win in the shootout. They can come from behind. It's been a while, but we've seen them kind of put teams into the dirt as well too. So I think the biggest thing to me is just how they're able to there's not really a way to get them uncomfortable. And even if they are comfortable, they've shown the way that they can adjust and kind of get back to themselves. And obviously you have Matt Duggan, who's the ultimate definition of resilient. Guy wasn't supposed to be the starter. Now I think if he has two good games, I think it'll be tough for him to win the Heisman, but I think he has a chance to maybe go to New York as a finalist if he can kind of ball out in these last two games, man. So it's been a magical season, a magical run. But for TCU, they don't view themselves as Cinderellas, man. They know they're not Georgia or Ohio State talent-wise, but they think they have enough guys with NFL talent, and they do. They think they have an advantage with personnel, and now they feel like they have the coaching that's kind of maximizing all of that talent on the roster.
Yeah, it's funny because you talk about how even-keeled Sonny is. He went ballistic on the sideline at that Baylor game. Look, at least on the referee, looked like he ready to go postal. So he has some fire. People don't think that fire inside. He has some fire. He's even killed. Certainly keeps the team calm, but he has some fire inside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. If I remember, it's probably when they gave up that 73-yard play or something like that. I thought that was going to be kind of the play that.
Well, I think he thought it was a pick.
Yeah, that's what he said after the game. So you don't really see him get charged up like that. But if there's a bad call or something like that, he'll come out and fight for his team, man. I didn't see if it was pick or not, but that could have been one of those plays where if they're sitting at 10-1 right now, that probably would have been the play that kind of decided, because it was 3rd and 11. Guy picks up 70 yards. I was like, at that point, I'll be honest, I was like, yeah, they're probably going to drop this one. But somehow they found a way. And just to kind of have the confidence in your team to run that bazooka field goal where the running back hits the ground with 17 seconds left, to have the confidence that your team's going to get out there for a 40-ish yard field goal, man, I think that's just kind of a testament to just the attitude and the character of this team. And, after the game, he was kind of cool and calm about it. He's like, hey, we practice that every week, man. It wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, especially after the kicker missed the extra point. You know, and so you still had the confidence in him. He had the confidence in himself. They could go out there and nail that field goal. Now, TCU has been the best story in DFW, one of the best stories in the nation. We would love to see them get into the playoffs. And people question about, you know, what they can do against the SEC and Ohio State and all that. Well, they're going to get that opportunity. If they take care of business, you know, certainly against Iowa State and take care of business in the Big 12 championship game, I think at this point, even if they lose, you know, they should still be in, you know, especially with Tennessee losing. And then, you know, there's no other team that should be there. I mean, what two-loss teams should be in front of a one-loss TCU team? You know, I think that should be a lock at this point.
I would say if they beat Iowa State, I would kind of view them in that light as well, too. I think right now, because Tennessee losing obviously gave them a lot more margin of error, I think I'm a big LSU guy. I don't see LSU beating Georgia.
They got 2 losses anyway.
Yeah, I don't see them beating Georgia. I think Clemson, any chance Clemson had when North Carolina got beat by Georgia Tech, I think that kind of, you know, took their chances away. So if they win this game this week, man, I think they should be no worse than number 4 because they already beat Kansas State or Texas, whoever they're going to play. So even if they lose that game, if you're the committee, you can look at it and say, hey, they went 1-1. And if it's Texas, you beat Texas on the road. So I think right now, if they can win this game this Saturday, excuse me, my bad, y'all. They can win that game this Saturday. I kind of would be in the same position as you. I think they should go.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm rooting for Kansas this week. I'm the biggest Jayhawk fan. I got my wave in the weed. I'm with Mac Engel because I need Kansas to take out Kansas State so we can get that rematch with Texas and TCU in the Big 12 championship game. Because the real Texas didn't show up. The real TCU showed up. The real Texas didn't show up. But we'll see.
But what's the real Texas though?
Huh?
Who is the real Texas though?
I don't know because I haven't seen the real Texas since Vince Young left. But you know, but that's just me. Those are my hopes and dreams that we get this. Of course, Texas got to take care of business against Baylor. But hey, man, I appreciate you filling in for Mac Engel. You hit a home run here today. You're doing a great job with TCU. You're giving them that great look. You give them that Stevie Johnson mojo, and hopefully they can carry it out. For Clarence Hill, Cowboys beat writer for Star Telegram, and Stephen Johnson. This is Cowboys Overtime.
Appreciate you for the invite.